Okay, folks, buckle your seatbelts, because what I'm about to tell you sounds so wild, it should come with a disclaimer. Africa just pulled off one of the slickest infrastructure power moves in modern history. I'm talking about transforming $1 billion into $15 billion worth of pipelines, plants, storage hubs, and industrial muscle, like pulling a skyscraper out of a vending machine. And nope, this ain't movie magic, this ain't a glitch in the matrix, this is real-world African strategy, playing out in real time and shaking up global energy politics from Harare to Houston. If you think you've heard everything, trust me, you haven't. Let's dive into the top 10 facts that explain how this miracle was engineered. Just a few days ago in Harare, Africa's richest man walked into State House, sat down across from Zimbabwe's leadership, and dropped a bombshell worth talking about. He wasn't bringing a rescue package, he wasn't offering handouts, and he certainly wasn't testing the waters. Instead, he came in ready to sign a deal that would shake up the energy map of Southern Africa like a snow globe. What he put on the table was a $1 billion commitment that, thanks to how he structures projects, unlocks a massive $15 billion worth of infrastructure value. That's like paying for a rusty used car and driving off with a brand new luxury SUV. And let me tell you, nobody, not Western oil giants, not Chinese state firms, not even Zimbabwe itself saw this move coming. But hold on tight, because the reason this billionaire came back to Zimbabwe is wilder than the deal he signed. Yep, rewind 10 years and the same billionaire wanted nothing to do with Zimbabwe. Back then, he proposed a $1 billion industrial project, but red tape, behind-the-closed-doors politics, and what insiders described as costly mediation fees had him flying out faster than a startup investor dodging a bad pitch. It wasn't just inconvenient, it was a firm nope, not today. Fast forward to now, and something huge shifted. Zimbabwe has new leadership, a different economic posture, and a desperate need for energy stability. Dangote saw opportunity where others saw chaos, and he returned ready to rewrite the rules. But you're probably wondering, how does $1 billion create $15 billion? Don't worry, the math is genius level. Here's where the magic happens. Dangote doesn't hire Western contractors who throw out quotes big enough to give an accountant chest pain. He doesn't let foreign firms demand equity slices or management seats. Instead, he taps African engineers, African planners, African contractors, delivering megaprojects at a fraction of the cost. No bloated consultant fees, no 5-layered middle management circus, no international surcharge. This is grassroots engineering scaled to megaproject execution, and it's Africa doing it for Africa. That's why his $1 billion unlocks the functional equivalent of $15 billion. That's the African price advantage. And trust me, it's rewriting the global playbook. And wait till you hear what the centerpiece of this $15 billion miracle actually is. At the heart of the deal is a monstrous 2,000-kilometer pipeline stretching from Namibia's Walvis Bay straight into Zimbabwe, cutting across Botswana and opening up direct access to what will soon be the world's largest oil refinery. This pipeline means cheaper fuel, reliable supply lines, and a total break from the expensive, fragile logistics routes Zimbabwe currently relies on. You think a pipeline is just a pipe? Nah, this thing is an artery, pumping economic blood flow into a landlocked country that's been paying premium prices for decades. And if you think Zimbabwe is the only one benefiting, think again. Because this pipeline, it's not stopping at Zimbabwe's borders, not even close. Botswana gets transit fees, Zambia gets access, Malawi gets supply options, Namibia becomes a major storage hub. Even Mozambique and South Africa feel the ripple effects. This isn't a single country project, it's a regional reset button. Dangote basically created a fuel highway for half of Southern Africa, backed by one refinery and a unified distribution system. And guess what? Once you're plugged into that pipeline, switching suppliers becomes harder than switching phone carriers during a contract. That's the kind of lock-in Western corporations dream about. But don't get it twisted. Dangote isn't just selling fuel, he's building an empire. Dangote didn't roll into Zimbabwe to build one asset. He rolled in with a full industrial package. Cement plants, fertilizer factories, energy production units, and storage facilities are all part of the blueprint. Zimbabwe gets cheaper materials, more jobs, and the industrial muscle needed to reboot its economy. Dangote gets long-term market dominance and distribution routes nobody else controls. This is business strategy 101. Create the demand, then own the supply chain. Still with me? Because the next fact is where this story goes from big to gigantic. Once the pipeline kicks in, Dangote becomes the unavoidable supplier for millions of people across multiple countries. Western oil majors are officially sweating. Chinese firms are watching closely. Africa has never had this kind of locally controlled energy distribution system before, and the global geopolitical chessboard just tilted. What's at stake is long-term leverage. With one pipeline and a refinery expansion, Dangote might control more regional energy flow than any foreign entity operating in southern Africa today. But just when you think it's all smooth sailing, here comes the internal drama. Two of Zimbabwe's vice presidents skipped the signing ceremony, a move that raised more eyebrows than a plot twist in a Netflix political drama. Behind the scenes, factions within Zimbabwe's ruling party have different opinions on Dangote's return. Some see it as salvation, others as strategic vulnerability. And where big money goes, big questions follow, especially in countries where political transparency isn't exactly the national pastime. Dangote may be building pipelines, but he's also navigating landmines. But even with the politics, the economic impact is too big to ignore. This project means factories running again, mines operating full shifts, hospitals with stable power, and businesses not burning mountains of diesel every month. Zimbabwe has been losing 6% of its GDP annually to power shortages, and this pipeline could slash that number dramatically. Add thousands of new jobs, massive foreign currency savings, and investor confidence returning, and Zimbabwe could finally jumpstart the economic engine it's been pushing uphill for 2 decades. But the final fact? That one flips the whole story on its head. This is the real revolution. When Western or Chinese firms quote $10 billion or $15 billion for a megaproject, Africa now knows it can build the same thing for a fraction of the price, with local talent, local materials, and local control. This is independence. This is sovereignty. This is Africa learning to build like a global powerhouse without being financially handcuffed to foreign interests. Wins. Zimbabwe wins. Africa wins, and the global balance of power shifts, not with a war, but with a pipeline. And that, folks, is how 1 billion turned into 15 billion, African style. If this breakdown sparks something in you, then don't just keep scrolling, hit that like button, smack that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and drop your thoughts in the comments because your voice matters here. And hey, if you want to help us grow the Global Pulse family, show some love to our sister channels, built for kids' fun, learning, and imagination. Sparkling Kids and Rayma Fatima on YouTube. We're growing together, we're learning together, and we're building a global community that lifts every voice. Let's make this movement louder. Let's grow as one family.